I was gonna start this video off by saying it's usually not like me to talk about things like this online or on the internet, but I've done this before in the past when I was younger, and I've had like think pieces on Facebook, like long ass paragraphs, just like detailing whatever I feel about like political and whatever topic that's just on my mind at the time, because I didn't have nobody else to talk to, so I just put it on Facebook for like the 5 friends that I have to see. And yeah, but I'm making this video because I just want to talk about this while it's still like fresh on my heart. This is about the recent school shooting that happened in Texas. First and foremost, I want to say rest in peace to Jocelyn Correa Escalante. I think I might have butchered her name, but rest in peace to her. She was taken away, very unfortunately, by Solomon Henderson, who is not what we would deem the typical school shooter, like he's not. And well, I'm gonna touch on that as well, like the idea of calling this like a school shooting, because it seems a lot more targeted and not as like broad as like a typical school shooting, and it's not to like categorize, but I think it is good to categorize things because there's nuances and there's context that you need to use when you're looking at like historical events, because that's very, very important. And the importance of this video is not to just like talk about guns and gun violence, because honestly, I think when we look at school shootings, we kind of miss the point and the reasoning behind why these kids pick up a gun and go and decide to do such heinous acts. Like, it's not because there's a gun next to them and they want to use it. It's a means to like complete whatever idea they have. And what we need to be looking at are these manifestos. And I know we do look at these manifestos, but there's usually not enough discourse behind what is said within these manifestos. Oftentimes it's just like boiled down to either how they were brought up. It's boiled down to mental health issues, which is also very important. But I feel like what's really important as well, and something that we should like kind of like put a magnifying glass on, is the radicalization of the youth, the radicalization of young teens. I can speak about this from like personal experience, because like as I said earlier, I used to be on Facebook, going online, like posting like long threads and of just how I felt in the moment, and I almost went down an alt-right pipeline. Like I kind of did. Actually, I'd say I did go down an alt-right pipeline. Like I vividly remember like going back and forth with my brother about like Black Lives Matter, and feeling like us as Black people, we have to just like do better as a community. And which is not like a bad sentiment. It's not like a sentiment that's still not true, but it's the way I was weaponizing it in a way to justify like our suffering within our community, like to justify the killings that happen on the street, to justify the cops unjustly killing or raiding or just profiling. Like I use that as a way to justify it. But through conversation, and through him being there to set my head straight, and also me going through personal experiences as a Black teenager, like growing up from being a teenager to a Black man in America, like that in itself opened my eyes, And when I think about Solomon, I'm thinking to myself like, damn, imagine I didn't have my brother Imagine I didn't have anybody, and like I just decided to go down that route, go down a violent route. Like, let's say I didn't even decide to like shoot anybody. Let's say I decided to kill myself. Like, imagine if I just did not get to like see, at least just live a little longer, just to see the world for what it is, because I feel like that's what happens to a lot of these kids. But more specifically in Solomon's case, as a black man, or as a black, just as a African American in America, because his manifesto, I can't even read the title of it because it just includes a slur, but it essentially is N-word cell manifesto. Like, that's, now if you've been on the internet for as long as I've been, you've probably heard of the term incel. And incel essentially is the idea that there are these group of men that have been born into the world, and because of their genetics and their facial features and their interests and hobbies, they cannot get lucky with a girl. So they're involuntarily celibate, meaning that against their will, they're celibate. Just because of how they are, they just cannot get lucky with girls, which is obviously, not the true reason. It's just because they don't have social skills, or they just, it's their mindset. It's really their mindset that's dooming them from being able to even interact with women just regularly. So Solomon now, of course he's been online, so he's used the term incel to essentially say he's involuntarily black. Like, he doesn't want to be black, he just so happened to be black, right? And there's all these things that come with being black. Basically, the idea or the synopsis of this manifesto is that he hates being black. He hates being black. And also, this could be false. This is still very fresh. I don't know if this is actually his manifesto. That's the thing about when school shooters die or when they kill themselves afterwards. We have no real way to truly know what was going on within their mind or what caused them to do these things, because they just, they die, right? But essentially, the synopsis of this manifesto is he hates being black, and he feels like the only type of good, well, he literally says verbatim, the only good N-word is a dead N-word. Like, he says that in his manifesto. And he gives props to Candace Owens being, like, literally he details, like, itemizes everything that made him do what he did, like who radicalized him, and also just some personal questions, like how he feels about school and how he feels like you just copy and mask and you just do the same thing that everybody does, basically feeling like school is a routine, and he's tired of like the mundaneness of school. And he said he's never been bullied. That's another thing as well. He said he's never been bullied. He said that people will probably go on to say he was a nice, quiet kid. So this kid is very, very, very smart, very, very intelligent, obviously. He said he hasn't been bullied. He knows, like, he knows how to socialize, it seems, like it doesn't, well, no, he said he actually lost his friends. I lied. I lied. He said that his friends outgrew him and he feels like they don't know him anymore, right? And he just says, overall, it just sucks being an N-word. But what's so interesting is that he also says, no matter your race, we should help the Aryan race. We should help the Aryans, no matter what. It's just so wild, right? But I want to emphasize this right here, though. This part of the manifesto, the anti-black, the self-hate, the self-loathing, the white supremacist. Like, he even asks, or he even, does like a self-interview where a question asks, are you a Nazi or a white supremacist? He says, no, I'm a golden N-word. I can't be a white supremacist. Why would I? That's stupid. So, like, I really want to emphasize, like, these points here, because I know that people will try to use the rhetoric of, you see, it's not only just, white or non-black people committing these mass murders. It's also black people. And while that is true, I think the context is very much important, because if we look at these manifestos, they all have the same thing in common. And what is that? It's white supremacy. Like, it's white supremacy. Even so much so to where it's a black child, a black teenager endorsing white supremacy. Like, do we not see the big picture here? It's not about guns. Even though I do feel like there needs to be some sort of regulation on guns, it's not about guns though. And although mental health is a very important factor, it's also not about mental health. It's about who do we have in power, who do we have online, who do we have speaking to these kids? Like, what is the message that's being brought to these kids? And he said something as well in the manifesto, where he said he would wake up and go on streams and just spam the N-word on streams to streamers, right? And I know he probably thought that was funny, and it just goes to show like how I know a lot of black friends and even non-black friends that don't see the issue with saying the N-word, or don't see the issue with, or just really see it as a word. And I just want to and not even just use it as a thing. They think it's funny to use it as an insult as well. So it's like, you just got to be careful though with who you're saying this around, because just think about I'm pretty sure he heard just being called an N-word. That's really why he says he hates being black. You gotta really read it. He hates being called an N-word. He hates seeing gang violence. He hates seeing the conditions that his people are in. He hates seeing all this. What he really he said, "Are you a black supremacist?" He even asked himself, "Are you a black supremacist?" He said, "No, I would be if N-words weren't so crazy. If we could just get our shit together, I would be a black supremacist." So it's he has I just think he just needed some time to live life and just experience being black somewhere else other than being around his own people. You feel me? He has to know what it feels like to be black around other people. I feel like he does, but then he did know. Honestly, man, I still feel like this is just it is a tragedy, but I feel like we really have to just talk about the ideologies and the thought processes behind these school shooters, because it's the mental illness, the sadness, and the depression comes from the way they think, and it comes from the things they hear, it comes from the people that they're around, and it comes from the situations that they're in. So it's we really have to sit down and evaluate that. And I guess the point I'm also trying to make is just about the internet and how trolling and meme culture has really just done a number. Because honestly, bro, I'm not gonna lie, to keep it 100 with you, meme culture nowadays is really just, well, not even nowadays, let me not say meme culture nowadays is just whatever. Meme culture has always kind of centered around blackness and a mimicry of blackness and black culture, black American culture specifically as we know it. And if you want to get into hood irony and all that, but sometimes the meme just be the N-word, and that's the punchline. That's what makes it funny. It will be a non-black person in the picture, and the caption is just the N-word. No other punchline other than that. And what makes it funny is that, okay, it's a non-black person saying the N-word, but why is that funny? That's the thing. It's funny to be called, it's not funny. I don't think it should be funny. I don't know, maybe I'm too serious for the internet. Maybe I'm too serious for memes. Even though I grew up online and where niggas would be bullying and doing back and forth, doxing and all that. I grew up online. I'm not gonna lie, I played Brawlhalla religiously. And let me tell you, them post-game chats are no joke. They will really fire on your ass. They will literally, yeah. So it's I'm not And not only that, I'm black. Like, I grew up in New York where I had a fight for my life at lunch tables. I got a fight for my life everywhere. Like, it's not a thing of being soft. It's not a thing of being sensitive. It's not a thing of being like, oh, I can't take a joke. It's like, no, I know how to joke. I know what's funny and what's not, but some things you just shouldn't joke about. Like, some things just shouldn't be seen as funny so regularly. Some things just shouldn't be the norm. Like, because when things become the norm, like, just really think what it does subconsciously. Like, this kid really thinks it's a joke being who he is, just being black. He thinks blackness is a joke. He thinks blackness is useless because of just the way we're spoken about, just because of the way that, you know, maybe the people around him carry themselves. Like, I'm not gonna say his environment plays no role and the people around him play no role, and there aren't ignorant black people walking up and down the streets. There aren't ignorant people everywhere we go. There's ignorant people everywhere we go, but like, we gotta really use context into how like these messages are being pushed, because there's ignorant white people, there's a bunch of ignoramus white people, but they're not seen as the norm. You know, they're not seen as the norm, and nor are they being pushed to spread harmful rhetoric that like literally tarnishes their image and their social status and their social structure and just their overall well-being in America. Like, no matter how much we call white people white supremacists or or racist or anything, they will still be at the best interest, not of just America, but of the world. So it's like, we really got to put on our thinking caps. Not even just our thinking caps, just think, my nigga. Like, just think, bro. It's not as simple as it's just a word. Like, it's really not just a word. It's the context and the way the word is used. It's the meaning behind the word. It's the significance of the word. It's just like, you know, like, and like, another thing is like, I'm sorry, I'm really going on a tangent. But this is really just like, it's all coming to me like as I'm speaking. But it's like, another thing is just like, yeah, like, us as humans, we're social, you know? We're social creatures. We kind of need social interaction to thrive. We need human interaction to thrive. We need to be found in places with people that we share similarities with. You know, we need to find community somehow. We will seek out community, and if we don't seek out community, that's when something is wrong. That's when you notice that maybe this person is depressed. Maybe this person has some sort of social disorder, social anxiety, something, because they're not socializing. Like, it's human nature to want to socialize, right? So you're gonna go out and seek out interactions. But when you're met with, you know, harmful language being used against you, when you're met with like, you know, jokes that are literally just making fun of your existence, not even like clever, funny jokes, just jokes making fun of your being, just you just being who you are, you know, like, it's not fun to interact anymore. You're not gonna want to interact anymore. And if you're not around the right people, and if you're not around the right people to bring you up, if you go start looking for inspiration in the wrong places, if you internalize the information the wrong way, because we're all different people and it all happens different ways, you know, you can end up becoming like one of these school shooters. Like, unfortunately, you can end up becoming like one of these school shooters if you don't have the right outlet, or if the outlet that you choose to, you know, plug into to get energy from is giving you like the worst type of information, is giving you, or is double downing on what you feel. Because he said one of his inspirations was Candace Owens, my guy. Candace Owens just shits on I wouldn't say she just shits on black people, but a lot of her, like, you know, her image is just shitting on black people. That's kind of her, you know, her motive. So he, you know, like, he probably was trying to look to a black woman. Maybe he didn't have the best, you know, motherly figure. I don't know. I'm not going to assume this kid's life, but he looked to Candace woman, an older black woman who's in power, who's in a political party, who seems to have made it out, who seems to be, you know, above all this, and to hear the way she speaks about black people would make him, like, would literally just double down on what he's feeling. Like, literally double down on what he's feeling. Look, I don't want to like just ramble anymore, but again, I just want to say rest in peace to the ones that were lost. Um, it is really, truly an unfortunate event. I just want us to, really think about why this is happening because for so long we tried to find a solution on uh what to do for gun violence, what to do for mass shootings, what to do for school shootings. But I feel like what I talked about here touches not only just on school shootings but for mass shootings as well. It all comes down to the radicalization of the mind. It all comes down to manifestos. It all comes down to having a vision, having a reason as to why you want to do what you're about to do. It's not just because you have this tool next to you, you know? So, yeah, that's all I got to say.